Afreximbank has signed a $320 million trade finance deal that was to finance the importation, processing and refining of crude oil in Cote d'Ivoire. That in conjunction with the Africa Finance Corporation. We now cross to Lagos to speak to Taiwo Adeniji. He's Director of Financial Institutions and Advisory Services at Africa Finance Corporation, about the investment climate in Cote d'Ivoire and what exactly they're entering into in this space. Thanks so much, Taiwo, for joining us this afternoon. Well, as I said, the AFC and Afreximbank are putting over $300 million in trade finance at this stage. The deal follows a long-drawn post-election crisis that has persisted over in Cote d'Ivoire last year. With regards to business, give us a sense of the state of affairs on the ground in Cote d'Ivoire at the moment.
Well, as you rightly said, the country went through a difficult election, but luckily, we believe the worst is behind. The new government has made political reconciliation as well as economic reconstruction as the key tenets of his program. And those programs are working well, I would say. For instance, a government of national unity was established in the country that has all the political parties represented, apart from the party of the former president, Gbagbo, that gave conditions that the new government could not accept. And the government has also moved to repair its relations with the international financial institutions, with the MDBs, and all the MDBs, the World Bank, the African Development Bank, and institutions such as the AFC, have found the government's economic reconstruction program to be credible. And on the basis of that, we believe that the program deserves support. And the transaction that you referred to, which was the $320 million between the African Export-Import Bank and the Africa Finance Corporation, is actually a way of saying that the country deserves support and we are ready to provide the support.
Let's take a look at the sector that you are investing into right now, because Cote d'Ivoire is not a country that's particularly noted for its oil production, but you're financing the importation, processing and then refining of crude oil by Société Ivoirienne de Raffinage, and that in Cote d'Ivoire. So run us through the status of the sector that you're investing into particularly.
Yes, you are right. Cote d'Ivoire is not particularly known as a major oil producer, even though they do have some oil production. But the Société Ivoirienne de Raffinage, the Ivorian refinery, is actually one of the best-run refineries in sub-Saharan Africa. The company has been in existence for almost 50 years. It was established in 1962. It's one of the biggest refineries and one of the most cost-effective refineries in sub-Saharan Africa, probably outside of South Africa. The company is the biggest supplier of refined petroleum products to West Africa. You probably know that Cote d'Ivoire has many of its neighbors as landlocked countries. So the refinery has capacity to process up to 60,000 barrels per day of crude oil, and sells only about 30% of that within Cote d'Ivoire, while about 70% is sold within Francophone West Africa to Nigeria as well as internationally. So it's a very credible company, and it's a company that deserves support.
When it comes to export to destinations, are we looking at a spanning beyond West African borders at this stage?
Well, yes, the company actually currently sells outside West Africa. I believe, as I said, about 30% of the production is sold locally within Cote d'Ivoire. Yeah. Another 30% is sold within the three countries of Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. A substantial portion of the product comes to Nigeria as well. Nigeria is also one of the major importers of refined petroleum products from Cote d'Ivoire, while the balance is sold outside of Africa.
Talk us through the potential for similar deals in Cote d'Ivoire moving forward and across the broader continent, given that Africa is noted more for the export of commodities and minerals.
Well, we do have a number of refineries in sub-Saharan Africa. We have one in Senegal, we have in Cameroon, Gabon, we have in Zambia, and of course we have in South Africa. The transaction we did is a typical asset-backed transaction, which enables a company that doesn't necessarily have, huge assets, but has very strong technical capacities to do big transactions. So basically, we finance the importation of crude into Cote d'Ivoire to the refinery, and we have a management agreement whereby the products are sold and the proceeds of the sales are used to pay back the loan. There is a possibility of actually replicating this financing structure for other refineries in Africa. It's not something that is very new. It's a financing structure that has been tested. And the Africa Finance Corporation is actually looking at being able to do this in countries like Cameroon and Gabon.
What about Nigeria? I mean, it's obviously the oil leader in West Africa, but the regulated downstream oil sector means that it imports most of its refined petroleum products. What are your thoughts on when we will see Nigeria become an exporter of refined products? And is that something that you're working towards and will be investing in to try and get things stimulated on that end?
Well, I do hope that we will get there sooner rather than later. In Nigeria, there are two key issues that needs to be resolved by the government. The regulatory environment needs to be sorted out, as well as the commercial aspects of the downstream sector in terms of pricing. Unfortunately, both of those have not yet been very well addressed. I know that we know that the current government is doing everything to try and address these issues. We've actually seen a number of investors coming to us wanting to invest in the downstream sector of the industry within Nigeria. And but the issue is we believe that such investment will make sense once we get the regulatory environment sorted out. There is the issue of the petroleum industry bill, which is still pending in Parliament, which also needs to be passed. Yeah. There is the issue of how do you price refined products, how do you eliminate subsidy, etc. All those issues will need to be sorted out before Nigeria can actually get to the stage where it will be able to refine enough product to satisfy the domestic market as well as have extra for exports. So a long road ahead that we're looking at there. Taiwo, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. Taiwo Adeniji is Director of Financial Institutions and Advisory Services at Africa Finance Corporation.